So it's safe to say Caitlin Clark's debut for NBA on NBC went well. Really, had a natural presence on the broadcast. She played a game of NBC with Jamal Crawford, a horse game, that is. But before it got started, lost the first game, won the next two. I don't know how you technically spin that. I mean, if it's a series, she won it, but she lost the first game, as she lamented. But nonetheless, she gets out there and gets on the broadcast and speaks on a myriad of issues, but she's funny, obviously. Caitlin Clark has a good sense of humor. We've seen that over the years, and
So it is safe to say Caitlin Clark's debut for NBA on NBC went incredibly well, and she really had a natural presence on the broadcast from the very first second. She played a game of horse with Jamal Crawford before the broadcast got started and lost the first game, but won the next two. I do not know how you technically spin that, because if it is a series, she won it, but she lost the first game, as she said herself. But nonetheless, she gets out there and gets on the broadcast and speaks on a myriad of issues, and she is funny. Obviously, Caitlin Clark has a good sense of humor, and we have seen that over the years. She pointed out one of the most notable things on the broadcast, which is the height disparity between her and Reggie Miller and Carmelo Anthony on set. I am going to wear stilts next time. You see her there with Carmelo and Reggie Miller because the size difference is absolutely insane.
And speaks on a myriad of issues, but she's funny, obviously. Caitlin Clark has a good sense of humor. We've seen that over the years, and she pointed out one of the most notable things on the broadcast, which is the height disparity between her and Reggie Miller and Carmelo Anthony on the broadcast, which was the height disparity between her and the NBA players on set. I'm going to wear stilts next time you see her there with Carmelo and Reggie Miller. And that's with Reggie Miller saying he's the third best shooter in the state of Indiana right now.
First of all, there's a new shooter from Indiana. See, I'm the third best shooter.
And that is with Reggie Miller saying he's the third best shooter in the state of Indiana right now, which is a wild thing to hear come out of a Hall of Famer's mouth live on national television. There is a new shooter from Indiana, and Reggie Miller himself admitted it, standing right next to Carmelo Anthony, confessing that the hierarchy of shooters in the state had dramatically shifted. He said, "I am the worst shooter in the state of Indiana now," and his voice was laced with a mix of humor and undeniable truth that nobody could argue with. It goes Caitlin, then Tyrese Halliburton, and then me. And the gravity of that statement coming from a Hall of Famer was not just a casual remark at all. It was a seismic acknowledgement of Caitlin Clark's immediate and overwhelming impact, instantly elevating her above a player who once dominated the entire league. That leaves absolutely no doubt about her unparalleled status as a shooter. And honestly, it is something nobody saw coming this fast. Reggie Miller did not have to say that, but he did, and everybody in that building heard it loud and clear.
Asked about the CBA, and one thing you have to like about it is Caitlin Clark was confident in her answer about that going into this make or break meeting on Monday.
The biggest moments the WNBA has ever seen. Looking forward into the future, what would you like to see happen as you come to a negotiation?
Well, honestly, I don't think it's just a big moment for the WNBA. I think all of women's sports, I think this is one of the biggest moments we've ever had. So, I feel very confident that we're going to get something done, and that's because we're in this moment because of the product we put on the floor. So we need to be able to continue to do that, and I know everybody's working really hard for this meeting tomorrow. That's super important, and I truly do believe we're going to get something done here in the next couple of weeks.
The subtle jabs did not stop there, with NBA giants Carmelo Anthony and Reggie Miller towering beside her on the NBC broadcast set, like two skyscrapers next to a house. Caitlin Clark, with her signature wit, could not help but point out the obvious height disparity between herself and these two NBA legends. It was not a complaint, but a knowing observation that highlighted the distinct physical world of men's professional basketball compared to her own game. Her casual remark underscored her comfort and confidence in any room she walks into, subtly challenging the established visual dominance of male athletes. She was making the NBA veterans momentarily part of her world, rather than her joining theirs, which tells you everything you need to know about her mentality. Clark was asked about the CBA, and one thing you have to like about it is she was incredibly confident in her answer about that situation going into Monday. This is one of the biggest moments the WNBA has ever seen, and she knows it, and she is not afraid to say it out loud.
So, obviously Caitlin Clark's voice, the biggest voice that can speak on this, because she's been the catalyst for the WNBA being in position for a transformative CBA, a change in salaries, the way that they're headed. So it's good to hear that she's confident. She's always expressed so much love around the league and what it can become and what it was and all of those things. But nonetheless, it's still got to be a deal that's done. So you can get to the WNBA draft later, after the free agency and after the expansion drafts. But hopefully, that's a good sign for WNBA.
She said, honestly, I do not think it is just a big moment for the WNBA. I think this is a big moment for all of women's sports, period. She said, I think this is one of the biggest moments we have ever had, and she felt very confident that they are going to get something done before the season starts. She said that is because we are in this moment because of the product we put on the floor, so we need to be able to continue to do that at the highest level. She said she knows everybody is working really hard, and there is a meeting tomorrow that is super important and cannot be missed by anyone involved. She truly does believe they are going to get something done in the next couple of weeks, which is a huge statement coming from the biggest voice in the league. Caitlin Clark's voice is the biggest voice that can speak on this because she has been the catalyst for the WNBA being in position for a transformative CBA deal. It is genuinely good to hear that she is confident because she has always expressed so much love around the league and what it can become.
Then there were some other topics hit up on the broadcast as well, including her wanting to play at Madison Square Garden. That is where she was broadcasting from, the Knicks and the Lakers. It is a great arena. I've spent a lot of time in the Garden.
Lakers and the Knicks taking center stage here for the 302nd overall meeting. And for the first time ever, we've got basketball night in America, the first Sunday in February. And we're joined by our special correspondent. Welcome to the team, Caitlin Clark. Yes.
First time in MSG for a Knicks game, so it's pretty cool.
I know, it's our first Knicks game, first time feeling the atmosphere. We got to get you to play on this court one day.
You have to talk to Adam about that.
Can we make it mellow? Honestly,
Before diving into serious basketball discussions, Clark faced off against NBA legend Jamal Crawford in a game of horse right there on the set. While she might have dropped the first round, her competitive fire ignited and led her to win the next 2 games, effectively clinching the series on national television. This was not just a friendly contest, it was a direct demonstration of her shooting prowess and clutch performance against an experienced NBA talent who has seen everything. Her victory, however informal, solidified her ability to compete and win, even against those who have graced the highest levels of men's professional basketball. She made a clear statement about her caliber as a shooter that nobody in that building or watching at home could argue with. Losing the first game and then coming back to win 2 straight is exactly the kind of competitor she has always been since her days at Iowa. That competitive fire is what separates her from everyone else, and everybody watching saw it firsthand on that broadcast.
Chance the Liberty would ever play in Madison Square Garden if you know the dynamics between the Knicks and the Nets in the city. She also talked about an NBA player that she models her game or patterns her game after, and this is going to make some fans upset.
It's your first Knicks game, but I know you watch the league, you love ball, like you just watch the game. Is there a player or someone you watch even more specifically because there's things in his game maybe you would want to add to yours in the league?
Man, I think Luka. Luka's amazing and he's incredible. I think the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes. And I think the thing about him is, he's not the fastest, he's not the most athletic, but he can get his defender to move where he wants him to go, and he takes up that space, and he does really.
She said MSG for a Knicks game is pretty cool, and it is her first Knicks game ever and her first time actually feeling the atmosphere at that iconic building. Carmelo Anthony told her right there on the broadcast, "We have to get you to play on this court one day," and she was absolutely all for it. She said, "We have to talk to Adam Silver about that, and can we make it happen, honestly? Because she genuinely wants to bring a fever game there." She did not just frame the CBA as a WNBA issue. Clark boldly expanded its significance, saying, "I do not think it is just a big moment for the WNBA." This declaration elevated the stakes, positioning the WNBA negotiations as a pivotal point for an entire athletic movement across all of women's sports everywhere. It was a strategic, powerful statement that transcended league boundaries, implicitly challenging the traditional male-dominated sports narrative that has existed for decades. She is asserting women's sports as a collective, formidable entity on the verge of unprecedented breakthroughs, with her leading the charge at the forefront.
Well, you got that right.
So, that's funny because the reason I said it could make some people mad, Stephanie White had notably on a broadcast talked about how I think it was when Luka was back on the Mavericks, they in a way played, faster and more together, or the ball popped more. I think that's what it was. The ball moved more without Luka out there. So Clark referencing Luka with some of the stuff around her and Stephanie White, and the butting heads narratives from last year will be amusing. But, again, Caitlin Clark just playing basketball is important, and she did hit on that as well, and continues to discuss Team USA. You can see how big a focus that is for her.
There is also almost no chance the New York Liberty would ever play in Madison Square Garden if you know the dynamics between the Knicks and the Nets in the city. She also talked about an NBA player that she models her game or patterns her game after, and this is going to make some fans genuinely upset when they hear it. When asked if there is a player she watches, more specifically because of things in his game she would want to add to her own, she said Luka Doncic without hesitation. She said Luka is amazing, he is incredible, and the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes the ball is unreal. She said the thing about him is like he is not the fastest, he is not the most athletic, but he can get his defender to move exactly where he wants him to go. He takes up that space and he controls the entire game with his brain and not just his body, which is exactly why she admires him so much. That choice, coming from a player whose immediate impact has been compared to many legends, immediately sparked a massive discussion across the internet.
Just playing basketball is important, and she did hit on that as well, and continues to discuss Team USA. You can see how big a focus that is for her.
2 years into the professional career, year 3, the evolution of Caitlin Clark's game is what?
It's funny because I was just looking back at some old videos from when I was at Iowa, and I can just tell how much my body's changed, but I think in a good way. You have to be stronger. It's a much more physical league. So I think that, and then obviously I only appeared in 13 games last year. So more than anything, I'm just itching to get back out on the court and kind of feel like myself again. And I've been putting in a lot of hard work, and I got USA basketball coming up. So looking forward to that too.
Yeah, I was happy to see. Yes,
Reg.
Reggie Miller.
Clark's rationale for admiring Luka Doncic was particularly telling because she did not pick the fastest player or the most athletic player in the league. Instead, she lauded his ability to manipulate defenders and control space on the court, which shows exactly how deep her basketball IQ really is. This specific emphasis on skill, strategy, and mental game over raw physical attributes served as a subtle yet powerful commentary on what truly defines greatness in basketball. It subtly challenged the prevalent NBA narrative that often prioritizes sheer athleticism, instead advocating for a more cerebral and artful approach to dominating the court. The interviewer noted that Clark's choice of Luka Doncic could make some fans upset, referencing past comments about the Mavericks and how they play without him. This added a layer of playful controversy to Clark's endorsement, showcasing her willingness to speak her mind even when it might not be the popular opinion. It highlighted her unfiltered authenticity, which is a trait that resonates deeply with audiences and keeps everybody talking and engaged. Clark's conviction stemmed from a powerful truth when she said, "We are in this moment because of the product we put on the floor, and that is facts." She unequivocally attributed the league's burgeoning success and its negotiating power directly to the talent and dedication of the players on the court. This statement was a direct and undeniable testament to player value and the idea that the work happening on the court is what creates everything off of it. The league's rapid expansion further solidified her point, with 2 new teams already added, bringing the total to 14 teams across the country.
There is an ambitious goal of reaching 18 teams in the coming years, and Clark spoke with the authority of someone witnessing history being made right now. Business is booming, she said, emphasizing the tangible growth that directly correlates with increased viewership and player demand across the entire league. This expansion is a direct result of the WNBA's rising popularity, driven in no small part by her presence and impact in the league. The talent pipeline, Clark noted, is stronger than ever, with college players seamlessly transitioning into the professional game at an elite level right now. The talents are getting better and better, she asserted, pointing to the continuous influx of exceptional athletes who are elevating the WNBA's overall competitive landscape. This observation highlighted a sustainable model of growth, where the collegiate system feeds an increasingly demanding professional league that is growing every single year. It is a testament to the sport's rising profile and the incredible skill level now consistently entering the WNBA, making it a must-watch for any basketball fan. The interviewer explicitly identified Clark as the catalyst for the WNBA being in position for a transformative CBA and acknowledged her voice is the biggest in the league. This was not just empty praise, it was an undeniable recognition of her singular influence, placing her at the epicenter of the league's most critical negotiations ever. Her confidence in a positive outcome, therefore, carries immense weight, signaling to fans and stakeholders alike that the league's biggest star is fully committed to the future. Looking ahead to her professional career, Clark discussed her physical evolution since leaving college, noting how her body has changed in a genuinely good way. She said, "I was just looking back at some old videos from when I was at Iowa, and I can just tell how much my body has changed since then." She emphasized the necessity of becoming stronger to compete in the WNBA, calling it a much more physical league than anything she experienced in college basketball. This candid admission underlined the rigorous demands of women's professional basketball, debunking any outdated notions of it being less physically demanding than the men's game. She said, more than anything, she is just itching to get back out on the court and kind of feel like herself again after missing so much time last season. She's been putting in a lot of hard work during the offseason, and she's got USA basketball coming up, which she is genuinely looking forward to. Her dedication extends beyond personal development, with Clark revealing her anticipation for representing her country on the biggest international stage in the world.
Caitlin Clark's debut on NBC was by all accounts an undeniable triumph and a masterclass in both charisma and basketball insight from start to finish. From playfully taking down Jamal Crawford and Horse to confidently steering the conversation around the WNBA's groundbreaking future, she exceeded every single expectation. Her sharp wit, her profound understanding of the game, and her unwavering confidence left an indelible mark, not just on the broadcast, but on the entire narrative. She did not just participate, she completely reshaped the dialogue around women's basketball and what it means for the future of professional sports going forward. Her ability to hold her own next to Carmelo Anthony and Reggie Miller and make them laugh while also dropping serious knowledge shows exactly why NBC wanted her. Caitlin Clark proved that her impact on the league and on the perception of women's sports is honestly only just beginning right now, and nobody is ready for what is next. Everyone watching knows there is so much more coming, and nobody can wait to see what established norms she challenges next. The broader message from this entire broadcast is that Caitlin Clark belongs on the biggest stages, and everybody who watched already knew that before she opened her mouth. She walked into Madison Square Garden surrounded by NBA Hall of Famers, and she did not flinch for a single second the entire night. She beat an NBA legend in Horse, she made everybody laugh, she dropped knowledge about the CBA, and she talked about wanting to play at the Garden. That is range, and that is star power, and that is somebody who was born to be in that spotlight under those lights. The WNBA gets better every time Caitlin Clark steps into a room, and that is not an opinion, that is a fact backed by every number that exists. NBC knew exactly what they were getting when they brought her on, and the ratings are going to prove it without question. This is just the beginning, and if you are not watching everything she does closely, you are already behind the curve. When you put everything together, from the horse game to the CBA confidence to the Luka Doncic pick to Madison Square Garden dream, all of it showed a player and a person who is locked in. If you are not paying attention right now to everything Caitlin Clark is doing, you need to start, because she is about to run through this entire sport. The future of women's basketball just showed up on NBC on a Sunday night, and everybody watching saw something special happen live. This is only the beginning, and trust me when I say the best moments of her career and her impact are still ahead of her.